My husband has always had a temper, but things got worse after our first child was born. He would yell at me and say horrible things. Once he even whispered to our infant, "Mommy doesn't love you because I bought a generic formula." He would say he wished he'd never married me. He called my mom the C word. The final straw was when he told me to go kill myself. I was depressed and felt worthless. I joined an online community and a man started giving me attention. I kept things strictly friends, but we talked way more than I should have as a married woman. It felt good to feel heard and understood. I opened up to my therapist about my husband and she told me it was verbal abuse and gave me the number of a lawyer. I filed for divorce. A week after I told my husband I wanted a divorce, I confessed to my male friend all that had been going on behind the scenes and that we were divorcing. He confessed his feelings to me, and, finally feeling loved and allowing myself to, I told him I had developed feelings too. My husband begged me not to leave and said he'd go to therapy and asked if we could do MC. I was scared of MC because I was afraid he'd just yell at me after sessions if I was honest. In retrospect, I should have tried it, since he was willing and we had a baby together. I moved out. Things with this guy moved way too fast, and at first I was so wrapped up in feeling like I was being saved from my unhappiness I ignored the red flags and dove head first. Things with AP quickly turned emotionally abusive. Feel free to check my post history for details. Every time I dropped my kid off at his dad's, I bawled my eyes out on the way home. I missed my husband and my family, but I knew it wasn't healthy, so stayed away. Things with AP escalated until it got to the point where he was saying if I could just have sex with you, I would go back to normal. By that point I was so desperate to get that feeling of being understood back, I arranged for him to fly out and visit me. We had sex the first night, and it didn't feel right. We did it a couple other times, but the abuse was more obvious in person and I was feeling the weight of what I was doing and it crushed me. I missed my family. This was wrong. I sent him home early. Husband got diagnosed bipolar and we cried on the phone together. He apologized for the way he treated me and started therapy, meds. I invited him over the day after AP went home. I just missed him and wanted to hang out. He asked me if I'd seen anyone during the separation and I lied and said no. I justified it as not being in the right headspace to discuss. We ended up having sex that night. A week in, I confessed, and we are struggling to put the pieces back together. I shouldn't have lied and I feel horrible about it. I went full NC and am only allowing myself to have female friends. I have an open phone and laptop. I am an IC and got diagnosed with ADHD, so I'm on meds now too. I am working hard every day to prove I am not going anywhere and that I'm truly deeply sorry. Things with my husband were on a better track, but now he stopped his meds and tells me he only has a mood disorder because I'm a cheating slut. He kept me up all night last night telling me I can try to change all I want, but I never will, and I'm just a bad person who does bad things because that's how I was raised. I don't know what more I can do. I feel like if I remind him of the verbal abuse, I'm just making excuses. I feel like yes, I did an awful thing I will never do again, but without meds he wasn't as horrible to me. Has anyone been anywhere close to a situation like this?
My wife, my first love, first partner, and best friend unexpectedly has been cheating on me. Absolutely heartbroken. My wife, 28 of 2 years, has done a complete 180 in the past few weeks. She went from someone who was loving, focused on starting a family, and completely trustworthy to someone who has lied, deceived me, and blames me for her infidelity. It all started 3 weeks ago. I was riding high. I thought our relationship was going great. We were talking about getting another dog and our honeymoon plans, since COVID wrecked the initial plans. Then Friday hit. I could sense something was up and even mentioned it to my mother on the phone. I don't know what's going on. I just have a bad feeling about my wife, I said. Then that night she texts me, "I just need some space tonight. I know you won't like it, but please respect my decision." She then proceeded to turn off her phone and she says she slept in her car in a vacant lot. When she came home I was understanding but stern that this sort of thing could never happen again. But she had completely changed her mindset on life itself. No kids, career focused, and wanted out of the relationship. The most telling thing she said was, "I fear that we will cheat on each other in the future." What? Who says something like that, completely out of the blue? Many things happened since then, including her leaving the state for 2 weeks because she needed space. While she was gone I put a GPS tracker on our car that I own. Last night I found that she had spent the night at her instructor's house after going to a movie theater. I also found a picture of the two of them. The worst part is, I was the one who has encouraged her in this career and she never would have met the guy if I didn't introduce them. I have yet to confront her, but I am currently putting all the puzzle pieces together about this whole situation. She is basically blaming me for all these issues that we are suddenly dealing with, saying she doesn't like the way I talk to her. I'm controlling, and I call her names. I have done deep soul searching these past few weeks to try and understand what I could have done to cause this. But her accusations are unfounded. I encouraged her to get mental health, which in her mind equated to calling her names. I stressed the importance of communication when she shut off her phone, but she says that is controlling, even though I didn't stop her from spending 3+ weeks away from home. Finally, she has these recordings of me, without my knowledge, and thinks that they are proof that I mentally abuse her. I played these for my counselor and he disagreed that there was any sort of abuse in the recordings and was actually impressed with how calm and collected I was in the discussion. Anyways, none of these things are excuses for cheating and the way she has been treating me. I guess I am at the investigation stage still, trying to let her make her own choices and I'll gather the data. It's tough though, and the person I once loved more than anything has completely wrecked our entire life together in 3 short weeks. I am at a loss for words how I feel right now. I've got a great support system and loving parents, but now I know how heartbreak feels and I never want to feel this way again.
Hi everyone, I need to make a throwaway account because I'm sure I'd get a lot of hate from this, but I could really use some advice right now. I met Chris way back 2015 in a coffee shop where I'm still working. He was a regular even before I started working there. I don't know why, but he really caught my attention, so I started making small talk whenever I serve him his food and coffee and he would respond. Weeks flew by and he finally asked for my number. We texted each other every day and every night, and we'd also talk during his visits to the coffee shop. Eventually, I fell in love with him and I was over the moon when he told me that he felt the same way. But there was a problem: he's engaged. Instead of doing the right thing, I still pursued a relationship with him. Chris' wife eventually found out. She sent me threats, saying that I should stay away from husband if I still like to live. And I did. I know it was too late and I was so stupid that I had let it come to this point, but this was like my wake-up call, so I broke up with Chris and blocked him. We never talked again and he stopped going to the shop. Last month though, Chris's wife paid me a visit at the shop, but she didn't talk to me. She just sat there occasionally throwing glances at me while sipping her tea. I was so scared that she might make a scene, but after like an hour, she left without a word. But the following week, after my shift at work, I discovered my bike was wrecked to smithereens. We don't have a CCTV at the back of the shop where my bike was parked, so I don't know who did this. I don't want to point fingers, but I think it's the wife. Last week, the wife went back to the coffee shop. I didn't know she was there until I served her tea. She then accidentally poured the hot tea on my hand. She acted like she was so sorry, left her payment on the table, then straight up left me there with my swollen hand. I'm not sure if I should go to the police because I'm also ashamed to tell anyone that I'd been a mistress. I'm so scared that this was just my karma for having an affair with a married man and that no one would take me seriously. I know I deserve this, but I am honestly scared. It's obvious that I should quit my job to avoid making a scene when the wife go back at the shop, just in case it comes to that. But I really need the money now and it's not that easy to find a job. I feel so trapped. What should I do? Do not include. TLDR, had an affair with a married man. The wife found out and sent me threats. She then went to the place where I work, burned my hand, and might be the one who wrecked my bike. I'm scared. What should I do?